Ah, now I've got you. I've got you.
Yeah. All right.
Well. Yeah, sometimes it's glitchy, and all you have to do is kind of touch a few buttons, and sometimes it just kind of like, oh,
technology.
I know. So how you doing? Are you in Atlantic City?
I am right outside of Atlantic City, so about 10 minutes away.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been there. I think. Yeah,
I believe the last time you were here, the first time you did one of the Wentworth showings, the first time you did Atlantic City was 2018. You were sitting in the studio that I'm sitting in right now because it was right before you got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Cool. And then I think before the art show, we were there with the Dead Daisies and Kiss.
Yep. And just to even more things with dates, this date back in 2018, you were in Philadelphia with Journey playing the Wells Fargo Center.
Oh, wow.
So we spent this date together before because I was at the show.
Excellent. Sounds sexy, man.
So before we get into the arts, I just want to say, I mentioned you were in the studio and you guys had been, you were getting ready to have the induction at the Barclays for the Hall of Fame. And I told you I was hell-bent on being there. I was there. I got emotional, and I know you guys on stage got emotional, but what was that moment like for you?
Wow. It was really interesting because when I got the call that it was going to happen, we just got off the road, and to be honest, it was a bit of an inconvenience because I just got home and I was burned. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to be home with the family. And then we got on a plane and we spent about 5 days in New York, just doing press and this, that, and the other. And then, of course, we did Howard Stern. And I think it hit me how much of a big deal this was. Not necessarily, to us per se in that particular moment, but how big this was for our fans, the biggest fan vote in the history of, the Hall of Fame. And then all the people that showed up for us, Brian May and, Ian Hunter. And, it became very apparent that this was a huge deal. And, fast forward to standing on the stage and seeing the entire industry sort of sitting there in front of us, I realized that this was really the first time, apart from our fans, that we really got some love from the industry. So I got a bit overwhelmed because it was like a life review. Like everything that we've done with the band. And Joe's speech was fantastic. I think it was wise to just let him, he wrote the speech, we all read it, and we're like, this is perfect. It included everybody that had ever been anything to do with the success of Def Leppard. And it just really hit me in a way. For myself and my wife, it was extremely emotional. Just to be there, and then, look at Brian May, who, I mean, we've looked up to him for so long, and he just made it all happen. I don't think Brian May knows he's Brian May.
That might be one of the best lines I've ever heard in my life.
What I mean? He's so friggin' humble. It's not even funny,
That's hilarious. I was at the Barclays. I started getting emotional, like you said. The vignette before Brian May came out, and before you went up on stage, I started getting emotional. I've been a fan since I was 1983, when I saw Photograph on MTV, and I'm sitting there, and my wife is next to me, and I'm tearing up because you're right. It felt like vindication. There was the dark years in the 90s where it wasn't cool to like Def Leppard, and I'm still roaming around with the slang T-shirt because, listen, to me, good music is good music. And It did. It felt like vindication. Like, you know what? I stuck with this band, and it just I got emotional. So I mean, for you guys, it had to be times 1,000.
No, I mean, you know, Joe's used to it. He's a front man. You know what I mean? But you know, I sit behind that drum kit, and it hides me somewhat. You know, I express myself in a different way. And you know, whenever I'm standing in front of people like that, you know, and I see their faces, it really, it all comes home to me. You know, how much of an amazing legacy we've created, and that I think was the dominating factor. You know, that this is great. This is such a gift.
Yeah, and I'm going to get to your legacy because you guys have been doing a lot of that stuff with some of the releases. But Wentworth Galleries, Atlantic City, July 10th. You're going to be up at King of Prussia right outside of Philly on July 11th. Wings of Hope 2021. I know that's kind of like the name of the tour. Is that also a series you have going on as well?
Well, there was one piece in particular, and it just felt to me like, you know, sort of, you know, coming out of COVID, and, you know, I just feel as though people need some sort of hope. They need to get out and just let loose, you know. And you know, it's I think it's important. You know, we're social beings, and it's been very unnatural, you know, being in this situation. You know, I mean, having said that, you know, I'd spent time in Florida recently. I did a show with a friend of mine, DJ Ravi Drums, and it was awesome. It was awesome just to get out there and let loose. And then before that, I was in Southern Florida doing 3 art shows. And again, you know, I could tell people were just really hungry to get out there and socialize and just be around, you know, just be around people again. What a concept.
Yeah, I mean, I worked every day being in radio, but yeah, being in you know, I've seen people, but being in a group, and like in time, we're going to be back to shows here very shortly. It might be a little bit of adjustment. I've enjoyed a little bit of the distance, but I also have missed doing those things like going to a show, or maybe even just sitting at a bar, where you couldn't do that, at least here in Jersey, for a very, very long time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Obviously, with the downtime and, you know, the stadium tour getting postponed now for 2 years, I'm sure that you've probably been able to express yourself with your art. Legend series, I see Kurt Cobain, Johnny Cash, and then one that hit me very, very hard was when we lost Eddie Van Halen. So talk to me about your series.
Well, Eddie was very close to my heart. So my best friend growing up, so this was 1978, he calls me and he says, you got to come and listen to this record. So I ran around to his house, and he played Van Halen, the first record, I heard it for the first time. And I was just completely blown away. I'd never heard anything like it. I'd never heard anybody play guitar like that. I'd never heard a band so strong, you know. Everybody talks about Eddie as being, you know, really super talented. But trust me, the band, I mean, his brother, he plays the shit out of that kit, you know. He's really super talented, and the entire band were the same way. So fast forward 2 months, they were coming through Sheffield, which is the major city close to where I lived. They were coming through, opening up for Black Sabbath. And honestly, Van Halen owned that show. You could see
what a lot of people say about that tour. They all say that.
You could see the Black Sabbath. You could see the wheels were coming off, man. Yeah. I mean, you know, it wasn't that great. But Van Halen, different story. Fast forward to 1991, I moved to the States, and it just so happened that my neighbor was Steve Lukather from Toto.
Okay.
And he calls me up. He says, "We're having a get together. You know, you've got to come down and, you know, meet us. I want to introduce you to a really good friend of mine, Eddie Van Halen." And I was like, "Oh, I'd love to meet him," but I was so starstruck. You know, but I met him and he was very unassuming, very humble. And you would never in a million years realize what he did for a living. Because, you know, he was just, just humble and just a smoking player. I think between him and Jimi Hendrix, I did a Legend series many years ago of Hendrix. I think between Hendrix and Eddie Van Halen, they changed guitar playing forever.
Absolutely changed the game. And my next question was like, did your paths cross? You know, between like 83 to like 92, both bands were probably crisscrossing America and the world touring, but it took to 91 for you to meet Eddie. So that answered my next question. But I was 2 when Van Halen 1 came out, but I always say, like, to people that are older than me, I'm like, what was it like to hear like Eruption for the first time? It had to be like mind blowing, like the first time you heard like Zeppelin 1 and stuff. And they say it was. They just kept repeating the record over and over again.
No, it was crazy. It wasn't a long record, you know. Yeah. It was very to the point. You know what I mean? And great songs. And again, you know, Eruption was the first thing you hear on that record, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was insane. It was like, I think somebody told me. Well, I know somebody told me recently that they changed the way they wrote guitar music down because of his tapping technique.
Okay.
And nobody had ever really, you know, they'd never experienced it before, so they actually came up with a way to express it in musical terms.
That's crazy. I mean, yeah, just a one of a kind talent. I've had the pleasure of Zooming with his son, Woofy, a couple times. He's just humble. His new record came out today, and just seems like the talent's passed on from Eddie to him, and looking forward to what he's doing. And speaking of releases, the Volume 3 box set out today as well for Def Leppard.
Yeah, and yeah. Not too many people realize that we kind of grew up listening to all that fantastic 70s music. And that's really where our influence came from, whether that was Queen or Bowie or, you know, Mott the Hoople or Electric Light Orchestra, or, I mean, just, you know, we were just so blessed with the music that was around at that time, let alone all the sort of Motown and 70s sort of disco, which, you know, as a musician, you never really categorize music. You never really pigeonhole music. Mm-hmm. You know, it's either good music or it's bad music. You know,
I've said that for years. It's like, it's good music or bad music. It shouldn't matter, you know, if the band is past their prime or it's something you don't hear on the radio or something. Like, a good song is a good song.
Absolutely. And I think we were blessed to grow up. I know you're a little younger than me, but it was such a fantastic time for music because it all met. It all came together. And, you know, we took influence from all of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, Volume 3 out today, the box set for Def Leppard. You know, during this time, the Vegas record came out, the London record came out, the early years box set. You guys have been busy, but as you said about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it was like this retrospective, and you guys have been going back a lot and putting some of the older stuff out, and just looking back at the career and giving some of the fans a lot of stuff that maybe they didn't have access to. The vault on the website is fantastic, by the way. That is tremendous. Has it been fun doing all these projects?
Well, as you suggested earlier, you know, there are things that we wouldn't have been able to do had we been in a normal touring cycle. You know, it would have been, you know, off the road for, you know, 6 months, and then you kind of go, oh man, it's that time again, you know. I better get in shape, you know. but this is really the first time off. It's the first full summer I've seen, or 2 summers, since 2010.
Wow.
So it was actually great to spend time with the family, and also be able to tie up all those loose ends and do all those things with Def Leppard that we never had time to do. So it's actually, there was a silver lining, you know, in terms of COVID. You know, it wasn't all bad.
The Vault series on DefLeppard.com. I mean, the videos of you guys doing the little vignettes talking about things, but when you broke down Power Mania, that's like, it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen, because, you know, to this day, it's still my favorite record of all time. But for you guys to go in and talk about the recording of each song, and not just say Photograph or Rock of Ages, but going into Action Not Words and Coming Under Fire and Die Hard the Hunter, just, that is tremendous. I hope those things keep happening on that Vault thing.
Yeah, I think so. You know, we're not getting any younger, and there's a lot of things that people don't know about this band. And I think it was just a great opportunity and right timing, you know, to get stuff out there and let people kind of, you know, take the lid off things and have a look inside, you know what I mean? And see what makes this band tick.
That's fantastic. As far as your artwork is concerned, moving forward, what is Rick Allen thinking about doing? Do you plan ahead, or is it something that's just spontaneous for you when you start doing art?
I'm working on another couple of flags at the moment. I've got a Stars and Stripes. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to put on the Stars and Stripes right now. But I think the Union Jack, I think I'm going to do a really cool underground. If you've ever been to London, you know, and you've traveled on the underground, those signs are iconic. And, you know, these are all things that, you know, whether it was Victorian telephone boxes or, you know, the underground, or, you know, all these cool things I grew up experiencing as a kid. You know, it's great. I've got an endless sort of source of inspiration. You know, England is such a cool country. So there's always something. There's always something I'm working on. Sometimes it starts out, you know, normally when I'm on tour, I'll document things just either with my phone or with my camera. And it's in a view to doing something with that imagery at some point, you know, either sketching it and painting it, or creating, you know, really cool mixed media pieces. So, you know, I guess just my life experience is that's kind of where everything comes from, you know.
Nice. And on the other side of your creativity, Def Leppard, I thought I saw a headline working on new music. Is there something on the horizon there?
I mean, we always are. You know, I can't wait for people to hear new music. But hopefully, you know, people are going to get to hear that pretty soon.
Nice, awesome. And then I can't not mention the stadium tour. It's supposed to be 2020, then 2021. Now it's 2022. What was the decision behind? A lot of bands are going back on tour this summer and rescheduling things. What was the decision that you felt it was best to move it to 2022?
I think it was always going to be Live Nation's call, and I think we were waiting for the sports world to because obviously, you know, we're playing in a lot of buildings where sports is happening. And I think Live Nation's criteria was they didn't want to do a patchwork tour where it was like, you know, some places were fully opened up, other places weren't, and, you know, and I think the whole idea of trying to put on a tour at 50% capacity, just, I don't think it was going to work. So we're just happy, you know, they made the decision. I think first and foremost, people's safety is that's key. That has to be, you know, we obviously don't want anybody, you know, anybody getting sick at a what's supposed to be a wonderful occasion, you know, playing a concert. So And I think all across the board, whether it's sports, music, or anything where there's large gatherings, I'm hoping there are smart people making decisions, and it's primarily based on people's safety.
That's good. I totally agree. Wentworth Galleries, Atlantic City, July 10th. I believe it's 6 to 9 in the evening. And then King of Prussia, you're going to be there on Sunday the 11th from 1 to 4. I'm going to try to definitely stop out, say hello, and see some of the art. I've actually stopped by Wentworth Galleries in Atlantic City, just walking by, being in the casino, and your artwork is there, and it's it's tremendous artwork. It's amazing. You're so creative with Def Leppard, but you have this other outlet as well, which I'm sure as an artist is very important for you.
I needed that. And, you know, it used to be that I didn't do art every single day. But during COVID, what I started to do was really just do something every day, just a little bit, just a little bite, you know, and it's been extremely therapeutic for me.
Awesome. I'll end it on this. I'll put you on the spot. If you had your choice in playing a show with Def Leppard, is there a song, one song that you guys never get to play that you wish you guys would play if you had control over the set list?
Ooh.
Because I know you pulled some stuff out in Vegas and was really cool to see over the 2 residencies. But is there one that the band either shoots you down or you just know it's not going to happen?
You know, Vegas is always a unique situation because you know you're playing to super fans. Mm-hmm. So you can do things that you wouldn't normally do, you know, whether it's Die Hard the Hunter or things that, you know, things that just, you know, don't see the light of day. But I'd love to play a song like Desert Song, or what else? One that we don't play very often is Work It Out, which I thought was a fantastic song off of
Slang. Yeah.
Off of Slang.
Yeah.
Vivian's an awesome songwriter.
Yeah, I was. You know what? I had 2 songs in mind, and the first one was White Lightning from Adrenalize. Love that song, and the second one was Desert Song. I would love to see you guys rip that thing out. That would be fantastic.
Oh, I'm so glad that there was synchronicity there.
Yes, no, I see you said I've seen White Lightning live. I saw it during the Adrenalize tour, but Desert Song, I don't think you guys have ever played. But that would, for the diehards, that would blow some people away if you came out and just ripped into that. That would be awesome.
That's cool.
Rick, I thank you for your time. Always a pleasure. I hope to see you here on July 10th and get to stop by, or maybe you end up here in the studio. Wentworth Galleries, July 10th and 11th, Atlantic City, King of Prussia. Looking forward to Def Leppard, the tour, and everything, and continued success, my friend.
Thank you, Sean. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Take care, sir.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.